Wah. Hey, what's up everybody? It's the Astrofig here, and for today's stream we are going to be playing Blind of the New World. So, yeah. That's... life. Yeah, words. So let's just launch the game right now. And yeah. Just, dive into the world. Start with just setting up some settings, which I probably should have done beforehand. Text mode, click, so we don't miss anything. Language English, because I cannot, in fact, read Korean. Surprisingly enough. Extra content. So yeah, that's something I review later. But for now, let's just go right into the game. Dive into the world. The Blind of the New World. I may need some sleep. Before my eyes, a desolate city stretched out to the horizon. The futureless, colorless buildings sprouting up every which way remind me of a graveyard with its countless tombstones. Well, that's a bit dark. Just a tad. But oh well. New game, who dis? This is the Blind of the New World, and it's what we're doing for today's Visual Novel Wednesday, and probably the next few, depending on how long it is. If any person from the 21st century could see what I saw, they would probably say the same. Well, that's rather depressing. This city looks like it's dying. Well, I mean, yeah, if I'm being honest. The people who inhabited this place weren't much different from the city itself. However, there was one thing wrong with my view of the world. It wasn't the citizens who were dying. The death existed behind the pupils of my eyes. Yo! And that's why I post when I'm going live on Twitter. Haha. Works out that way sometimes. In fact, the present was the exact shining future that the people of the past had envisioned. Well, I mean, might be what they envisioned, but, this guy can't see anything, so he's just, like, sad and depressed, I guess. I don't know. But to see the beauty of the present, a device was needed. The device was called the Electron Cornea. Tips. Alright, so there's some tips to read about in the game menu. I see. To be fair, that was partially my own fault, because I accidentally streamed against my own schedule, because I got the day wrong. Yeah, finally. It took a long time, but I finally managed to lame him out successfully. At birth, these electron corneas were transplanted into each other and every person's eyes. Through these electron corneas, modern people were able to receive the data that painted the old world with fresh, new holograms. The new data replaced the colorless world of tombstones, becoming the true face of modern society. I'm not gonna lie. I debated just ending the stream. I was honestly pretty sad at that point, with just existence itself. But I managed to get through it. I felt refreshed, and I even managed to make some new progress, like leveling up. Now we've got a whole 16 in strength for bludgeoning people to death. This new data replaced the colorless world of tombstones, becoming the true face of modern society. Thank you for the support. I am proud of myself as well for being able to actually do it, because I honestly just thought I was gonna be stuck with him there for the entire game. The cloud. I'm gonna go upload my files. But not everyone was able to see this new reality. People like me would never get the chance. Okay, drama queen. Or king, I don't know. I think this person's just supposed to be a generic character you can project yourself onto. Those with death growing in their eyes were not graced with the ability to look out on that world. Oh, wait. Oh, Oh. Ah. Oh. See, I didn't realize the first upgrade took up Titanite shards at the time, because I honestly forgot I had them on my person. So, I kind of used up a few of them, upgrading that. I don't, however, regret upgrading the Dark Axe. That was a very useful weapon to get. Those with death growing in their eyes were not graced with the ability to look out on that world. Well, that sucks for them, I guess. But, like, I don't know, man. People like me weren't able to see the beautiful portrait for what it was. Instead, they were only able to see a rough outline. I mean, you got that weird, like, green effect on the buildings. That's probably not normal, maybe. Yeah. Only we were able to see the desolate... I'm just not gonna bother trying to say it. I think it's emaciated. I can't pronounce words. I don't care. Emaciated skeleton of the city. The people who resided in this inorganic machine. These people, me included, were called the blind. Or just blind by the people around them. That just sounds like bullying. Those few actually remembered. Blindness used to refer to extremely weak eyesight or a complete lack of eyesight. Yeah. Of course, that definition was severely outdated in a world where technology was able to cure diseases and circumvent disasters. Such cases of actual blindness had long since disappeared. Well, I mean, on the bright side, at least regular blindness is cured. Or rip those people, though, who can't see anything cool. Alright. Speaking of which, advertisement segment for my own stream, which probably isn't very necessary in my stream. But I'll be having the next Dark Souls stream on Monday, actually, this time, and I won't get the date wrong and stream a day early. In the modern world, blindness now referred to the phenomenon where one was unable to see the holograms due to some malfunction in the electron corneas. Even in a world this sophisticated and advanced, scientists had been unable to discover the reason for this malfunction and had dubbed this blindness as an incurable disease. From birth, each and every person was able to view the beautiful holograms that covered this barren land. Thus, they were able to even wrap their heads around the symptom. They were unable to even wrap their heads around the symptoms of this fabled blindness. In their world of holograms, rumors of this mysterious disease spread among modern citizens, and as the rumors spread, the dread that they too would be claimed by this blindness spread behind it. Since the illness was so rare, some even chose to ignore the fear and dismiss the existence of the disease as lies and conspiracy. If only it was nothing more than a ghost story. Unfortunately, it was real. My existence proved that. Gotta suck to be this guy. Let's just have been kicking him down from like the day he was born. There were no holograms that covered the world that my eyes saw. Because of this, the blind, like me, had no choice but to view and ponder the massive incongruities of modern society. For example, most design choices were based on the holograms that displayed over objects. Why build something flashy in a world of data where you can choose to display an object any way you want with a simple hologram coding? I think I accidentally just skipped over some dialogue. Oh, no, I didn't. Okay, good. In this world of holograms, a rotting, collapsing house of straw, a nondescript pile of stones, and a fragile castle made of sand could all be made to look like a shining, golden castle. In other words, the blind were forced to view the naked face behind the makeup of the holograms. Talk about exposition central. Like, this man has been going off. It's okay if you miss anything. It doesn't really matter. That was why a person like me could say that this beautiful world of holograms was nothing more than a world of ruin. It could all be taken away in a heartbeat. The world where only the blind knew the truth and everyone else went about their delusional, happy lives. I accidentally skipped over the dialogue. This was the world, the modern world, where I lived. The blind of the new world. That's the title of the game. Let's go. Roll credits. Day 1. No month. Just day over 1. Heck yeah, it's the bus. Mornings were always so busy. No matter how much time passed, would that fact ever change? I don't know, maybe. If humans became nocturnal, it probably would. With that thought on my mind, I stepped off the bus. I had no idea how sophisticated this bus might look to people who could see the holograms, but to me, it was just a simple lump of steel. Okay, we get it. You can't see you can't see them. We get it, okay, sir? That looks like a stapler. It kinda does. Finding the right bus, something others could distinguish at a glance, became a major inconvenience for someone like me who couldn't see the holograms. This society is awfully inconsiderate to people who can't see the holograms. Like, at least put, like, something on the bus. The long path to my school was flooded with people. The path was on a low hill, a short distance from the main route through the central shopping district. It was the largest path to the front gate of the school, so most students climbed this small hill on their way to school each day. It was a sight that seemed so calm and peaceful. It was a daily scene that would fill most people with a sense of security and relief. But in the midst of that peace, I alone felt my unusual sense of unease. Seeing all the students moving as one reminded me of a herd of animals on a mass migration. Okay, this just sounds like this guy's gonna turn into the villain of the story or something. Like, he is talking like someone who is going to commit a crime. Most people would have a problem with someone comparing people to a herd of animals. Yeah, like me. Like, come on, boy. People are gonna think you're evil if you keep talking like that. Unlike animals, people had their own defining characteristics that enabled others to distinguish them from the people around them. Because of those unique characteristics, it felt like a rather inappropriate comparison. But if there was a problem, it was my fault, not theirs. How many times are we gonna see this one screenshot of this man's eyes? Like, I get it. I get it. You got eyes, and they don't work. Children my age were all filled with a passion for life, brimming with their own unique personalities. That much was obvious. But to the blind like me, all of those distinguishing characteristics evaporated, leaving behind only a vague outline. Just talk to people. Like, schools with uniforms aren't actually that rare, and that would be, like, the exact same thing as this. So, just, like, discern their personalities based off of how they talk. You're called the blind, not the deaf. So, just like a herd of animals, there wasn't a lot to help me distinguish between individuals. These people be looking like clones. Yeah. I could make a very bad joke in this situation, but I probably don't want to do that in case I get cancelled. In a world divorced from the holograms, personality was stripped away. Again, talk to people. This is about to turn into Star Wars. I'm going to invoke a war upon these people with their bland haircuts and outfits. Clothes, jewelry, hairstyles, even faces. What are you talking about? They have hairstyles. They have faces too. Like, I get that they look a little bit similar, but like, that's just the artist's art style. Cut them some slack. This was a world where people used holograms to distinguish themselves from the people around them. Although each of the students behaved differently, in my eyes, they all looked like cheaply manufactured goods pumped out of a factory. You can't say that about people. You can't just say that about people. That's me. Hair neatly trimmed, dressed in the same neatly pressed white hologram suits. Like, this is just like the same thing you'd see if you went to like a boarding school or something. I think. I don't know. I've never been to a boarding school. Sure, they all had different heights and builds, but there wasn't much else to help distinguish them from each other. I mean, that's a pretty easy way to distinguish people. Like, you're supposed to distinguish people from how different they look from each other. The answer is probably because they have a small watch. That or they made it quick. This game was released like a month ago. I have no idea how long the developing process lasted. But yeah. In previous eras, educational institutions, prisons, and the armed forces used this kind of uniform appearance and dress to instill a sense of unity and sameness. That's exactly what I've been saying with that had nothing to do with this generation of students. Yeah, sure, but just treat it like that. Like, calm down, man. You're overreacting a little bit. Each of these students was an individual. If I could see their holograms, maybe they would be dressed super flashy. Maybe they would still be very neat and proper. Maybe they would be dressed up in whatever new trend was in style now. The appearance each person wanted to show the world could only be seen through the holograms. But that appearance was unseeable, unknowable to those with the blindness. It was a scene I saw every day. Yet I couldn't stop the insecurity from creeping in, telling me that I was different. Okay, so seriously though, it just sounds like he's gonna turn into the villain. When a new slide drops, that shit's gonna be off. How are you saying seeing scenes? I don't. Yeah, I don't know, man. Blind. Yeah, apparently they just cured blindness in this world. They were like, nah, homie, technology got you. But, not being able to see holograms? Too bad, bro. Too bad. I couldn't see the holograms. I just set my appearance to copy their style. After all, it was my appearance in a hologram world that I couldn't see anyway. I just stayed bland. I can't see shit, so why would I care? No matter how I dressed myself up, it was all just a lie. It was a lie that only I couldn't see. What could I do if I looked weird in their eyes anyways? Honestly, it was completely different from a person being unable to distinguish individual animals within a herd. I couldn't even distinguish myself from the people around me. Are you playing like a... Are you living life in third person, bro? Like, it should be pretty easy to tell where you are relatively. I think it might just be pity the game. Like, this man has just been complaining. The difference between an animal and a person was like the difference between the blind and the people around them. Even in a crowd, I could feel a distance between myself and the people around me. I felt like an ugly duckling, and I couldn't stand that feeling. Bro, what's stopping you from just, like, getting some clothes? Game. Yeah. The game of I just click every once in a while. With that usual feeling of depression hanging over me, I walked up the path towards school. I might have forgotten to just read one of the text boxes. No I didn't. Okay, good. With that usual feeling of depression hanging over... Yeah, I already read this. What? Building? Building, are you okay? That's not a hologram or not. That's not right. That just isn't. Why is, like, the front of the school so... Why? It's just like... It looks like someone took, like, the warp filter in Photoshop and just kind of, like, hanged it over the scenery. Despite the usual nervousness I felt each day, nothing happened on my climb up that hill. The walk to school, eating at my nerves with each and every step, was nothing but a peaceful walk for the rest of the students. Since no one looked at me funny, I figured there was nothing weird about the way I looked. Well, first of all, you look tired as shit. Get some sleep, bro. No, don't cancel me. Come on. It was just a joke, bro. I swear. The racism was just a joke. See, I'd feel bad if like there was an actual blind person in front of me, but this guy just can't see holograms. That's just kind of like, live your life better. No, I can't say that. I can't say that. With that confirmed, I allowed myself a little sigh of relief. And right as I was about to enjoy that sigh, the feeling of unease crept back in. Okay, I don't know about for you, but the audio is really loud for me, so I'm gonna just turn it down a little bit. Also, that voice being at max volume makes it sound like I'm probably gonna blow my ears out. Oh, okay. Maybe I just have my thing turned on too loud. I'll turn that down and turn up the volume a little bit for you then. Let's just hope this isn't deafening. Close. And right as I was about to enjoy that sigh, the feeling of unease crept back in. As I approached the door to the school, I heard the hum of the students getting loud. Wait, is my... Okay, audio is working. Not too loud, not too soft, just the unmistakable hum of human activity. That's the hum of human activity right there. I started imagining what the humming was. People whispering about something strange they'd noticed about me, and that brought out all of the unpleasant memories buried deep in my mind. This guy needs like a therapist or something. Sounds like he got bad social anxiety. But thankfully, and despite all of my worries, none of the students were looking at me. With that fact bringing a small sense of relief, I looked around to find the source of the commotion. I began to get a sense of what was going on. It seemed like the sound was coming from somewhere near the front door of the school. One day, I plan on making humming being my professional career. The sound only grew louder as I walked to the front door, making me wonder what all the fuss was about. At the center of it all was the heroine of the story. Let's go. Why is she so short? A girl, different in every way, was standing there, looking as if she was completely separate from this world. Yo, we've got orange. Nice. Like, yeah, she's so tiny. She's like 10? 7? The moment I saw her, the world grew quiet. In the torrent of moving bodies flowing here and there in clusters, she stood alone. While all of the students were flooding toward the school, she stood against the flow. She was different. She was going to be late to class. Like, not going to school doesn't make you cool. Autumn colors need to be cancelled. I agree. I always get a bad cough in autumn because of leaf rot. Seeing her dressed like that, I could vaguely remember seeing a picture of a girl dressed in a school uniform somewhere. Okay, are you, like, stalking her? Her long black hair flowed down her back. Her eyes, staring off into the distance, were deep and clear, like two black pearls. Her lips were clamped tightly together. But why? She looked as elegant as a princess who had just stepped out of an old fairy tale. I don't know if it's a Canada thing, I think it's just me. Right when I laid eyes on her, it was like looking at a colorful image painted against a black and white backdrop. Yeah, that's because we just kind of like put a black and white backdrop on like every human being there. The sky's still blue, but like everything else. Yeah, no, I don't know how old he is, but like there's definitely some alarms going off here. In this dull world of grays, a light was beginning to shine forth. Why was she dressed like that, though? Yeah, I think if you called a child a light that was shining through, the cops would probably arrest you. You're right, technically the sky isn't blue. If we're being really technical, the reason we see the sky as blue is because of... No, I'm not going to explain why the sky is blue on today's stream. You have to tune in on Friday for that one. Why was she dressed like that, though? Was I imagining things? Remember how many times I shook my head or rubbed my eyes when I looked back in her direction? The image of her slender figure, wrapped in that school uniform, was, surprisingly, still as vivid as ever. But why? I couldn't get the words past my lips. In this world of dreariness, here was the new figure, so full of life. Dressed like a fucking chocolate orange. Like, come on. Science Stream 1. I don't know. Stop talking about this child's face. Right? Right? I could only chew on those thoughts and stare at the girl in front of me. Stop. The police. I am calling the police on you. Don't stare at a small girl. I have closed the game. Oh no. Oh no. End of the stream, guys. Would you like to continue your game? Yes, please. I don't want to go through that again. FBI showed up. You, but like in Korean. I don't. Yeah? No way. Was she talking to me? Yes, you. The Classical Arts Club. Are you interested? Never. Honestly, wait, do you want to have voices on, or do you want me to just read it out in English? Because I'm probably going to end up reading it out anyways, so. Revolutionary. Never in a... up to you, doesn't matter to me. I think I'll just mute the game audio. I don't really need voices right now. I'll just read it myself. Some kind of person that speaks. Never in 1,000 years could I have predicted her opening up with that line. Why is our name... I mean, phonetically that is correct, yes. But why is CJ spelled like the word C and then... I don't need my ooh anime voices for this. That's what you think until I break out my own. The Classical Arts Club. That's what I said. It's an elective at our school. No, I heard you. It's just that this is the first time I'm hearing about any classical arts club. I had been a member of the art club a while back. Because of that, I knew there was no classical art club, just normal art. Blizz, no! What's the problem? I just remembered the club last semester. As you can guess, we're looking for new members. I'm the president of the club. Oh wait, no, not just remember, just started. Well, that was the reason why she was just standing in the middle of the path like that. I can't believe this kid's not even blind. Though I couldn't see it, there was probably a hologram poster assigned next to the girl. Maybe a little holographic pamphlets flying around her. Surely she was the source of all the commotion. So, are you interested in the Classical Arts Club? You can be my first recruit, Mr. Sophomore. How does she know we're a sophomore? Is there, like, some way of telling? She looked like a first-year student, and I was indeed in my second year of 3 out of the school. He's a big fan of Kia. He's blind now. Let's spend minutes describing the girl's appearance as I see it in real time. She must have snuck a quick look at a hologram to look up my school ID or my social media account. My school ID or my social media account. Yeah, I guess those are the only 2 ways to ID someone. What do you think? Truthfully, I didn't have the tiniest bit of interest in joining her club. Well, besides you, how many members are there? I couldn't just turn her down like that, so I skirted around the subject. None. Well, that's a... Okay. If I scroll on the mouse, it immediately opens logs. None. What? I'm the only member. If you sign up now, I can make you the vice president. It really was a brand new club. Wait, could a student even make an official club with just 1 member? I'll think about it. Really? You're serious? Yeah, let's trust this girl who invaded my privacy because I'm a creepy... Of course. Good, then take one. The girl took a step backward and slid a finger towards me. I saw nothing, so I had to assume she was pointing at a hologram. Was she handing me a flyer? My knee-jerk reaction was to just reach out and take whatever there was. For the last second, I jerked my hand back. I'll just grab the information off the network. See ya. I rushed off, not knowing how to hide the fact that something was wrong. Hold on. Behind me, I could hear the girl trying to say something, but all I could think about was putting one foot in front of the other and getting out of there. Maybe I just hightailed it out of there. Yeah, that's Japan out. I'd imagine you can't make an official club with 1 member anywhere, but this takes place in probably Korea since it's a Korean game. Behind me I could hear the girl trying to say something. Oh, I already read this. Grabbing for that hologram flyer had been a dangerous move. That flyer had been nothing but a hologram with no real substance under it. I could have possibly guessed at its basic outline on the fact that it was a flyer, but there had been no way for me to tell its exact shape and size. If I had tried to grab the paper and missed, that would have looked pretty weird to her and anyone else watching. Yeah, it definitely would look weird. Fake super hearing due to his fake blindness. I don't know. Maybe. I guess they say any possibility is possible. All I know is, along with not being able to see holograms, he also has, like, super jank vision. Seriously, why does this school look so weird? It was common sense that anyone should be able to grab something right in front of them. If someone were to suspect that I was one of the blind, it would be sad. Needless to say, only the most devastating of results would be waiting for me around the corner. They're just gonna bully the disabled kid? Like, I don't think everyone's just gonna bully you for that. Like, maybe some people will, but like, I'd like to think that whenever this takes place, society has gone past bullying the disabled. So I just keep telling myself, running away may have been a little weird, but it had been the right choice. We really love this one shot of the school. As I made my escape, my thoughts were all over the place. As I looked around, I saw that I was surrounded by nothing more than a bunch of featureless wooden dolls getting ready for class. Seriously, you can't just call your classmates wooden dolls. Someone is going to slap you, and it's going to be me. As I went over to the window, I could still make out the shape of the cute girl in her school uniform and cardigan. That was a child. It was a child. Don't say that. I'll call the police. How was I able to see her hologram? Boy. Come to the obvious conclusion here. You cannot see any holograms. You see a girl wearing an orange outfit. What does that mean? Are you dense? I had no idea. Was I going crazy? Maybe I wasn't, and there was something special about this girl. Yeah, maybe she was just wearing clothes. Would have to be you. Everyone else in the school are mindless drones. Wake up, America. I couldn't tell what was going on. I wasn't sure how long I stood there, gathering my thoughts and staring at the girl through the window. Before I knew it, it was time for class to start, and the girl made her way towards the school as well. Classical Arts Club. For some reason, I was struck with this strange longing. Maybe it came from the fact that I had also been in the art club before. Bro, stop. Leave her alone. Getting arrested, %. Either way, if I joined her club, I would be able to see her again. That was when it hit me. A truck. Instead of wondering how I was seeing this girl's hologram, was I actually more concerned about how I was going to meet her again? Hello? 911. Hand on cheek. Her strange behavior has shocked all of the other students so much that she was still the subject of gossip during break time. If I could find out some things about her, maybe I wouldn't have to join the Classical Arts Club after all. Hey. In the end, I couldn't hold it and tried to strike up a conversation with the student next to me. He didn't look like he had anything better going on anyway. This guy, you can't keep saying that. He's worried about everyone bullying him for not being able to see holograms, but he's just bullying everyone else. I sure hope that he doesn't become a serial killer. That would probably be high rated on worst possible endings. In the end, I couldn't hold it and tried to strike up a conversation with the student next to me. He didn't look like he had anything better going on anyway. To reduce the risk of anyone figuring out that I was one of the blind, I had taken on the role of the outsider, but a small conversation with a fellow student wasn't completely out of the question. Yeah? I don't know, I'll just assume it was some bland... Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, that would make this story a lot more interesting. But this guy, what was his name again? I don't even know if there are text options in this game. Like, I might just be playing an auto-clicker. Did you see that girl standing in front of the school this morning? Looked like she was recruiting people for her club. Of course I saw her. No one will shut up about her. Sounds jealous. The boy was wearing an expression of shock. He probably hadn't expected me to strike up a conversation with him, but he took it in stride and responded casually enough. Is that cheery little girl really a first year at our school? There are a few rumors going around. Few people in the art department haven't heard of her. It's very ironically CJ, spelled with the word C. And you bringing up this name has made me realize that. And I am now realizing the irony in his name. And now I honestly want to cry. Because his name is CJ. And he's blind. God damn it. Now I know why his name was spelt so awfully. Yes, I did just get it. I just understood why his name was spelt as stupid as physically possible. And now I feel stupid for not getting it sooner. That was odd. You think I would have heard about her then? Really? It's like, who wants to paint in this day and age? I heard she makes art with actual paints and stuff. They still sell that stuff? I honestly figured they didn't. Paints? Like, watercolors? I guess. I'm not really into art. It's not just paints, though. I heard she does it all. She even said that she wanted to do a sculpture. So she dug out a hammer and a big rock from somewhere, and actually started smashing the thing up. What do you mean, who paints? I couldn't tell if that rumor was actually true, but if it was, she was a special girl. How had she found sculpting tools in a world of holograms? Ah, man. Ah. That's pretty amazing. Couldn't you get in trouble for bringing a hammer to school? You probably could. There's a rumor floating around that one of the teachers buried her hammer somewhere, so that girl threw a fit and said she was going to leave the art club. Some of the students in the art club were so moved by her passion that they got all misty-eyed. Yeah, silence does sound like the correct answer to that. Like, that just sounds like bad. Like, she just threw a temper tantrum because her hammer got buried. Also, nice deep male voice, thank you. While I was trying to make myself invisible last semester, this craziness was somewhere in the school. But if she left the club, why is she recruiting for it outside the school? Besides, it was the second semester. Normally new students did the recruiting during the first semester. I don't know, man. Can never have enough club members. The weird timing of her recruiting would have been enough to get people talking around the school. Maybe she left the art club and is starting her own branch. She did literally say, do you want to join the classic arts club? Which would be a new branch that you have never heard of. So, like, I figured that was the obvious putting two and two together. Starting her own branch? Yeah, they say she left to do something during the first semester and set up her own club. She didn't do any recruiting back then. Maybe she was just getting supplies and planning activities. The rumors really swept through the school back then. Are you telling me you didn't hear any of them? This was all news to me. It wasn't like I was close enough with anybody to share the latest gossip. If you really thought about it, even though I didn't know this boy's name, he was probably the closest thing I had to a friend at this school since he was actually taking the time to talk to me. Oh no. This poor guy. Well, he's the closest thing to a friend we have, so I'm guessing we aren't going to get his name. Calling him friend might be pushing it, though. But all this club talk, can she really start a club when she's the only member? I didn't hear anything about her setting up the club alone, but according to what the girls over there were telling me, she had the top grades in the school from the moment she set foot in this place. Maybe they're just turning a blind eye to a few of the rules. Ah, so she's well educated. That is a plus. Unfortunately, she is still a child, and that provides many problems. He does it on purpose, though. You're right, he does do it on purpose, but like... From the depths of all these rumors, a few mind-boggling facts were coming to light. But was that really it? Was she just so overwhelmingly stubborn that she could push past my blindness and show her true self? I'd never heard of anyone as stubborn as she seemed to be, but that didn't seem to explain how I had been able to actually see her. Clothes exist. Boy. Yeah, exactly. It sounds like a hypocrite move. More surprisingly than all this girl stuff, you carry a conversation better than I imagined you'd be able to. Isn't this the first time we've actually had a real talk? It's kind of weird actually hearing your voice for once. Is it really? I had no response, so I simply nodded in agreement, and just like that, our conversation was over. He took the pause in our conversation as a chance to play with his holograms. He was probably messaging a friend or something. Hey, what's up? This weird kid in class? Yeah, he just started talking to me. It was kind of weird. He definitely seemed to think I was a little odd or something. Well, yeah, you just don't talk to people. Of course rumors are going to be flowing around about you. Like, how unaware is this man? I get that he's the main character, but there's gotta be a limit, right? No way. No, there is definitely a way. I assure you. After that conversation, I made a point to listen into other conversations between students so I could catch the latest rumors. He's becoming a gossip. Let's go. He gives off the kind of vibes that someone who got exactly 2 seconds of sleep would give. Because it looks like he is about to pass out on the floor and die. I didn't enjoy eavesdropping, but since I couldn't access the hologram boards to see what people were saying, it was my only path forward. They don't have like a computer for these guys with a blindness? Like, come on. As I started to piece together all the rumors, I figured out that this strange girl I had never heard of seemed to have already made quite the name for herself. Just like the boy told me, this wasn't her first eccentric behavior worthy of a rumor. These days it was rare to find someone as eccentric as her, having the top grades out of anyone in this whole school, and being rather pretty just added fuel to the fire. Don't call her pretty, she is a minor. I am going to send you to prison. However, peculiar people were bound to have their fair share of mistakes, so after a few of the bigger rumors spread and died, people kind of expected the smaller things and moved on to the next topic of conversation quickly. That's humans. Oh no. And before he's not sleeping because his empty stomach is keeping him awake due to not eating in weeks, because he has no parents and is possibly homeless. Well, that's a bit extreme. I mean, the game hasn't deconfirmed that so far, so I guess it is theoretically possible. Just like that, as time passed, people stopped talking about her. It was good to know that she was quite famous around the school, and that I'd be able to meet her again. But before I could figure anything else out about the girl, it was time for lunch. It's time for lunch. It's time for lunch. No, you're the bad guy. Yeah, probably. If I'm being completely honest. If this was any usual day, I'd have had a lonely lunch by myself and then headed back up to the classroom. But today was a little different. Today was my monthly counseling day, so I was scheduled to leave school after my morning classes. As annoying as it was, all of the blind had to go in for regular mental health checkups and counseling. Well, I mean, you have regular mental health checkups and counseling, and you're still this bad. Get yourself a new therapist. Like, this person ain't doing shit for you. It wasn't like the sessions were able to cure the blindness, but they couldn't just do nothing about the illness. Regular counseling was the best way they could come up with. However, this regular counseling did nothing but confirm why they called incurable diseases incurable. Honestly, it was nothing more than an annoyance. Leaving school early just drew more unnecessary attention to me, giving me all the more reason to be anxious. When all the other students asked me why I got to leave early, I had to come up with a reasonable excuse. Or you could just tell them the truth. Surprising. Yo, we unlocked restaurants. We can finally eat. Thank God. Now we're only homeless and have no parents. When all the other students asked me why I got to leave early, I had to come up with a reasonable excuse. I'd love to just get it over with and then tell them I was one of the blind, but that was simply out of the question. No, not really. It's his eyes again. Let's go. We've got 10 illustrations, and by God, are we going to use all of them. Unfortunately, the response would be less than favorable. Most people still doubted the very existence of the blind. Most people thought it was just some urban legend or a ghost story made to try and scare people. Has no one made, like, a public statement on this or something? Wait. Let's go playing the greatest hits of TV. Because of the negative response, most of the blind chose to keep their illness a secret from the rest of the population. It had turned into kind of an unspoken rule among the blind. That just doesn't sound, like, healthy. Just, like... You get a government official to make a public statement that, surprise, surprise, they exist. I had never actually met another one of the blind, though, so I couldn't be certain of the existence of this rule. But the fact that my counselors were constantly advising me not to tell others about my illness seemed to be proof that the rule did exist. Oh, so the counselors are... This shouldn't be how you look after an illness. Oh, that? I didn't realize you can hear that. No, that's just my desk. I kind of pulled open the drawer and slammed it shut. Constantly advising me not to tell others about my illness seemed to be proof that the rule did exist. The rule seemed to exist. I see. Yeah. My chair is also squeaky, so it could be the chair, but I think my desk was probably the louder of the two at the time. But I'm not sure. There was one instance of a person murdering one of the blind. Okay, so I'm regretting what I said about saying that just tell other people. Murder? Because of humans, man. They disappoint me. I see. Even though he hadn't been completely positive if the person had the blindness or not. You just killed someone on a whim? You can't do that.
That is a crime. That is illegal. I'm calling the cops on you. I thought the main character was the problem here.
In the end, blindness was nothing more than a world killed off by technology, to most, and the new definition was written off by many as urban legends. Okay, not my actual thoughts, by the way. Good. We don't want to get you cancelled on my stream. And the new definition was written off by many as an urban legend. However, there was clearly a phobia spreading through the public. It was such a paradox, but whether or not everyone believed this surreal phenomenon of people not being able to see holograms, there was a very real dread. Because of that, the general knowledge that it was better not to tell people of my illness had sunk into my very bones. Even though the public didn't know the truth, calling someone blind had turned into a vulgar insult, slang filled with contempt. The year is 20 whatever the fuck. I don't know what year it is, but like, we're still discriminating against people for ableism. Come on, man. Come on. We should have been past this already. I see. That is unfortunate. Yeah. I had even been bullied once and looked down on after a rumor got around that I was one of the blind. Why? Why are these people bullying? You wouldn't just walk up to a child with cancer and laugh at them. That's just not what you do. Listen, I did it as a joke, okay? Okay. I did it as a joke, and that makes it so much better. Definitely. Trust me on this. The fact that this disease was incurable fed the public's fear. That herd of indistinguishable animals were also scared of my kind. I don't know which one of these people are worse. Like, sure, the rest of them are being ableist, but calling them indistinguishable animals is also discrimination. Yeah, that's fair. I should probably read this aloud because I don't have chat appearing on stream, so if everyone record a VOD, chat just won't appear. But people on the VODs don't need to worry about that. They don't need to worry about that at all. But what about the girl I had run into this morning? The girl I had been able to see so clearly. If she knew I was one of the blind, would she reject me too? I don't know, bro. No, she's black and white. We've lost her. Originally, she stood out against the black and white backsplash, but now even that is gone. I knew nothing about her, so it was a question without an answer. Still, I couldn't stop myself from thinking what her response might be. Inner monologue. The game. I headed away from the school and boarded a bus that would carry me to the outskirts of the city. As I stared out the window, this machine of a city reminded me again of rows and rows of tombstones. We're going more blind level 2. God, I just thought of the worst possible thing I could say, so I decided not to say it. But I definitely thought of saying, okay, so any blind viewers in the chat, which, like, that just sounds like I'm something you shouldn't say, 'cause, yeah. But I almost said it, and then I did say it. But if anyone here is actually blind, I'm very sorry. If there was one difference from this morning, It was that the white tombstones seemed to grow a little darker as I got farther away from the heart of the city. It was one distinction only the blind could see. In a world of holograms, everywhere you looked was bright and colorful, but I could see the chink in the armor of this hologram machine. In the center of the city, where the people and businesses were the most concentrated, the buildings were so uniform and sterile, thus the image of tombstones. I'm sorry, please don't leave, Starscream. But as you moved towards the outskirts, that started to change. You could see the piping sticking out of the concrete buildings, and other such outdated building materials were visible here and there. We can see nothing. You've given us a gray screen. It looks like the steam was ready to pour from these buildings at any second. It seemed like they had been made at the beginning of the 21st century, maybe even the end of the 20th. That's like now. Whoa. Time exists. These buildings would all look pretty much the same to someone who could see the holograms. But to me, the buildings at the heart of the city represented the people of the modern age, while the older buildings seemed to fit more with the people of the past. Okay, you're just not going to show us the buildings, I guess. Okay, back to the guys. As I reach the outskirts of the city, I feel more akin to these old buildings, unfit to walk the streets of the modern age. Alright. It doesn't really matter to me. I just wasn't sure what to call you until you followed me on Twitter, and then I learned that your actual name is Cody. My thought was a reflection of just how different the outskirts looked. Since the hospital, I had to go for my regular counseling sessions located out here. I had no choice but to bounce between the city and the center of the outskirts every month. And because staring out the window at the scenery was the only way to pass the time, these emotions and thoughts popped up quite frequently. None of the people on the bus could sense the sudden change in the scenery. Each ride, I was the only one left to contemplate the shift. I'm gonna go take a break and get some water. I'll be right back. Yeah. And I am back. I'm going to presume I can be heard, and if I can't, that sucks. Anyways, forget illustrations, this is just straight up a photo. I guess. As I arrived at my stop and got off the bus, I took one last glance at the old buildings around me. Maybe it was just my mood, but in the bricks and the sidewalk, bricks that no one had any plans to replace, all looked a little crooked. The hospital was located in the district farthest from the center of the town. Maybe that was the reason why everything looked so bad. Honestly, it seemed more like a village that still burned coal for heat. So, what do they do for heating now? Do they just use electricity? I'd hope. Coal's bad for the environment. You don't get to know which device I plugged in. The crosswalks were nothing but speckled blocks, worn to nothingness, and the traffic lights were leaning so badly, it was a wonder they hadn't fallen over yet. I had no idea if even holograms could fix this level of neglect. The crosswalk signal changed, and a green light shone out from a metal box that looked like it might lose power at any second. The holograms made all these light signals and crosswalks completely unnecessary. It was there only for the sake of the few people struck with the blindness that these outdated systems weren't removed. Maybe that's why they hadn't been maintained very well. No, I couldn't believe they had been maintained at all. Seeing the state of the signal and the barely visible crosswalk, less eyes on the updated technology must have meant fewer hands to help fix them up. Oh. And there's our doctor with red hair. Really? No change at all? Your eyes are still rotten. Every time I see you, it's nothing but a barrage of personal attacks. Please stop. Your personality is rotten, so your eyes are rotten. The sooner you realize that and get better, the better off we'll both be. Maybe it is that my doctor's relentless attacks are psychologically scarring me every time I come to see her. Ah, is that your professional opinion? She quickly shrugged off the idea and looked down at my chart. Her gestures accentuated the curves of her body, barely hid under the white jacket and hologram suit. I'm beginning to think this man is just a criminal. But honestly, I can't disagree with him on this one. Sign me up for your next appointment, please. She looked more like a model than a doctor, and definitely didn't have the bedside manners befitting her occupation. I figured she hadn't taken the Hippocratic Oath at all. That's not how you spell Hippocratic. Or is it something completely different than the word Hippocratic? I don't know. Is it? I'm not a doctor. I wouldn't know. Can I schedule multiple appointments in advance? Maybe she had just chewed it up and spit it back out. That was my counselor for you, Dr. Yujin. All of the blind had to go in for regular counseling. Well, now we're blind. Now it's just gray. Is this supposed to be what I'm seeing? Is something wrong here? It was easy to just assume that the blindness was a disease of the eyes, but researchers insisted that it was actually a disease of the mind. As a result of that hypothesis, all blindness counselors were required to be ready in both neurology and neurochemistry. When I considered those requirements and Dr. Eugen's age, I figured that she must have been quite outstanding in her field. Why would a person with those kinds of accolades want to work at a hospital this far out here? I had no idea, but I also had no desire to ask. We couldn't afford art for this site. Also, I forgot to read that one. Actually, I had asked before once and had ended up regretting it terribly. Right when the question came out, it was met with a wrath befitting of a queen. I learned that it wasn't a good topic to bring up. So, everything going all right? You don't sound very sincere today. I'm up to my eyeballs in work. Not everyone has as much free time as you do. She said that, but this place doesn't seem very busy. Just leave the previous slide up while I switch to a blank screen. Exactly. I doubted it. It was crazy as she was trying to make it out to be. Well, still not wearing your sunglasses. She took one look at my reaction, figured out the answer, and let out a long sigh. I said I wouldn't force you, but you really don't want to even try? I really can't help it. I wear them as much as I am able to. I doubt it. A long time ago, these sunglasses helped protect people's eyes, or once used as a fashion accessory, but things were different now. The sunglasses she was talking about were visual aids for the blind. I wasn't sure what their technical name was, but that was what they resembled the most. They were a special device that helped those like me who couldn't see the holograms. For those who couldn't interface with all that data, the sunglasses would at least show the general outlines of the holograms. That was the idea behind their invention. Why couldn't they just show the actual holograms, is my question. Hey, document of blind guys. In other words, there was a stand-in for the electron corneas. Thanks to the sunglasses, the blind like me didn't have to live like cavemen in our dreary little world. There was a marked differences between the sunglasses and working electron corneas, but the sunglasses allowed the blind to see necessary holograms. I could always prescribe you something. I don't think meds would be of much use. Well, you aren't wrong. Dr. Yujin let out another long sigh. I'm just gonna make the sighs more and more guttural as time goes on. The sunglasses let people with my handicap go about their daily lives, but unfortunately, a certain event made it to where I was never able to wear them again. Every time I put them on, I was filled with anxiety and a compulsive desire to take them off. It became so bad that I started having panic attacks. But why? In fact, I couldn't even remember what the world looked like through those sunglasses. But again, why the panic attacks? Like, I get sometimes you get caused unnecessary panic, but like, it was just holograms, bro. At the time being, I can't do anything to help you with the feelings you're having, but I have to insist you wear the sunglasses. Your blindness is a mental disorder. It's a disease that strips you of your ability to see. If you keep looking out on this world without holograms, it can lead to some serious psychological damage. You know, kidding, this guy's been, like, doing awfully. I know. The psychological discomfort may be a given, but if you ever feel any physical discomfort, come see me at once. Physical discomfort? How many times do I have to say this? Every disease can trace its origin to somewhere in the mind. These mental disorders, sooner or later, are bound to have a physical effect. Those with the blindness always end up developing physical conditions as well. Well, I'm not sure my body is going to quit out on me because of something I can or can't see. Dr. Yujin looked like she wanted to say something, but she let out a little groan instead. Nope, don't open my interfacing either. Ever since I'd stopped wearing the sunglasses, Dr. Yujin had been nagging at me more and more. It had been about a year of constant nagging. Just put on the glasses. What do you know? She's the doctor. Exactly. You weren't a medical professional. I can remember us having this exact conversation a few times now. That's enough scolding for now. How's school treating you? School? I can tell something is going on. Is there any possible way that you're actually enjoying school life? Let's just be honest. I'd listen to anything she told me. Amen. I don't know what to tell you. There's nothing really different going on. You've got some nerve, kid. Why are you looking at me like that? Yujin had a look in her eyes that was scaring me a little. If you're not able to cope with school life, your future prospects are looking pretty grim. I'm simping 100%. Me too, honestly. Could you not tell your patients what their futures hold in store, please? Isn't that what a doctor is supposed to do? Like, if I got terminal cancer and my doctor just told me I wasn't gonna die, and one day I just died, I'd be pretty miffed. Is he switching to yonder? What the fuck is wrong with this? That's what I want to know. Could you not tell your patients, well, I came here for counseling, but it felt more like a vicious roast. Well, stop being so useless, small child. She's doing her job. Do you have anyone you can talk to? Like, a friend? Anything? I have you. Pathetic. I only see you once a month.
Exactly. This child is pathetic. They have no friends.
Dr. Eugen yelled at me and rolled her eyes. Was the fact that I didn't talk to anyone really that astonishing?
Yes. Yes, it is.
I'm taking over as your patient, Eugen. Forget this boy. Well, it wasn't good, but still. Seriously, you're giving me nothing to work with here. You're not trying to get better, and you aren't trying to cultivate a single relationship. And my doctor isn't really helping much with that last part.
Don't form an interpersonal relationship with your doctor to the point where they are your only friend. That is not healthy.
Give me an order, please, I beg. She shot me a sharp look of disdain. Now that I think of it, there was one weird thing that happened today. I tried to change the subject, but Dr. Eugen was still looking at me with that icy cold glare. What happened? I wasn't sure if my changing of the subject had done anything to calm her wrath, but she decided to play along with it anyway. I saw one girl's hologram. However, I still wasn't sure if her appearance wasn't one big hallucination. I had only talked to her for a few seconds, but the impression she had left on me made the memory as vivid as it just happened a moment before. It happened like, 2-3 hours ago? It wasn't that long. At least I knew the girl's existence wasn't a delusion, since there were so many rumors floating around about her. When I get the chance to see her again, I would finally know what I had actually seen. Do you think you could be a little more specific? I had only brought up the subject to avert the looming danger of the doctor's rage, but she suddenly looked uncharacteristically interested. I mean, yeah, if some blind person just came up to you and said, "Oh yeah, I can see now," they'd be like, "Huh? You can what?" By the way, I've fallen in love with a child doctor. I thought I'd let you know. I'm trying to make her my girlfriend, not my only friend. Good luck with that, is all I can say to you. Good luck. Calm down a second. The sudden shift caught me off guard. I had never seen her so interested in anything I'd had to say. What's wrong? Dr. Eugen gets serious and tries to push me to talk about it. Trust me, I will not achieve my goal. I'm in chat for Cody. I started telling her about the scene in front of the school that I had replayed in my head countless times since. Okay, this man just sounds like a stalker. He just does. I hadn't actually talked to the girl a whole lot, so the story finished quicker than I thought it would. Yeah, you talk to her like the way a creepy stalker just shows up, like, says one word to you kind of creepily and then runs off. In fact, like, that's exactly what he did. I told Dr. Eugen about the girl pushing her new club on me, a memory that was still so fresh in my mind. It doesn't look very fresh. We've seen the same image about, like, 20 times, and it's suddenly becoming more and more grayscale. F in chat for my love life in general. I'm sorry. I actually miss the orange and I hate orange. Maybe one day we'll see actual color again. I told her about the girl that was rather famous for being quite the eccentric first year. And I told her the girl was recruiting for the classical arts club despite it all seeming rather suspect, and there wasn't a single other member. Dr. Eugen closes her eyes and lets out a little groan, and took it all in for a moment. No way, was this whole thing just one big fluke? Do you think it was just my brain playing tricks on me, or did I actually see a hologram? Well, if everything around her was the same, but you saw her hologram, I'm pretty sure that is a technical possibility. I think the larger possibility is she is just wearing clothes. Like a human being does. So it really was just an illusion? Just an illusion? But common sense and technicalities aren't always applicable when we are dealing with the blind. Mental illnesses and all that. Hearing my murmuring, the doctor nodded in agreement. It's black and white because he's extra sad. Still, maybe it's a good thing? Huh? You've got no other choice. Join her club. Maybe you can figure something out. What's that look for? Either way, your sunglasses phobia and your blindness aren't getting any better, illusion or not. At least this is something we can go on. The doctor is encouraging me to get a girlfriend. There's no use slumping in your chair and complaining. I know you don't have any fond memories of the art club, but just think of it as rehab. Art these days is mainly just holograms, since the data was all open source. 3D printing and data copying was just a given. But since the colors and shapes were slightly different through the sunglasses, things looked a little bit off. Due to these errors, my performances had been lacking. Couldn't they just make, like, regular glasses that make you see the holograms? Do they have to have the shaders? How can you ignore a chance like this? This girl could be the only key to unlocking the shackles of your blindness. I mean, I don't want to run away from the only person I'm able to truly see, but it's so hard to get close to someone and still hide my blindness. Plus, it would be hard to enjoy any club activities if I couldn't even feel comfortable getting close to anyone in that club. It's not like you get along with anyone anyway. Ugh. I could feel my mind wandering in two directions. Bam, and then there she was, driving her dagger deeper into the crack that had formed there. A doctor without any consideration for the feelings of her patients. That settles it. Before our next counseling session, join that club and find out what you can about that girl. Got it? You got me? Yes, ma'am. I'll say yes, ma'am, to her. Even if all the hologram business is all in your head, at least you'll finally have someone you can talk to. Just think of it as your chance to make a friend. I'm tired of looking at this little lost puppy, scared of his own shadow, wanting to go off and die alone. Okay, like, that was a bit far, don't you think? What country had she done her residency in? I couldn't think of a single place where doctors could be so mean to their patients. What kind of medical institution would allow this? I just couldn't understand this woman. If you come back here and say something stupid like, I still know nothing about that girl, you know what's going to happen, right? Got it. Can we stop with the death threats? I think I've got your point. Uh-huh. You sure? I might need to schedule for an emergency operation if things don't get any better. You follow? Thank you so much for all your advice today. I don't think he understands any woman. Yeah, I think you're right. I got up in my chair and rushed out of the door. Don't forget. As the door closed, she left with one more stabbing threat. She just said don't forget. Calm down. I went on my way as if I heard nothing at all. The ride back from the outskirts to the heart of the city took so long that it was dinner time by the time I stepped off the bus. That's the log. Let's log in. Today of all days, I didn't feel like heading home. I spent the whole ride lost in my own head, replaying my time with the girl and contemplating if I actually wanted to join her club. Well, I'm pretty sure that if you don't, your doctor is going to kill you, so
I'm leaning towards the do here, but if you want to not do that, I mean, probably your funeral, bud.
After all that time thinking things over, I didn't really feel like doing much of anything. Actually, it was only getting late by my standards. In truth, the thought of that going out late at night was somehow dangerous was a foreign concept these days, and it all but vanished. Unlike the people of the past who were limited to what they could and could not do at night, modern-day people had no constraints at all due to time or darkness. Then why were mornings still so busy if nights were just as busy? This just sounds like busy. The most simple limitation for people in the past was that they just couldn't see in front of their noses without some sort of light. People these days didn't have that kind of limitation. No, actually, people need this thing called sleep, because if you actually don't get enough of it, you will die. You will just perish. But, gone. So is he on like an invisible boat mobile bus or what? Our bus is holograms? I think buses are that stapler thing we saw earlier. I feel... Yeah, 3 hours of sleep a night, not very good. Maybe you should work on getting more than that. But I'm not your therapist or your doctor. So, I don't have rights to simply be the doctor in the chair with red hair. The most simple limitation... I read that. The electron corneas had the ability to control a person's irises and amplify any and all light coming in through the pupils. Yeah, I don't know. He's just sad that he can't see cool, fun stuff like colors. Big whoop. Can't see any color. Colorblind people exist. Sure, they only can't see a few colors and like they can only see them incorrectly, not at all. But like, just get over it. This is a crybaby again. Because of that, darkness had no effect on when and where a person could go. However, I was still ruled by the cycle of the sun. Bring a flashlight. Bring a flashlight. To go home when it's set. My friend's color deficient. Yo, let's go. It's his eyes again. All 5 of the scenes. The various functions of the electron corneas did not apply to the blind. If the main function of the electron corneas, being able to see the holograms, didn't work, it followed that the additional functions wouldn't be of much use either. The blind, like me, had difficulties navigating the streets at night. It would be nice if there were a few street lamps here or there. With the invention of the electron corneas, the practice of lining the streets with lights seemed rather wasteful. Thus, the streets were darker than those of the past. Get one of those things they use for mining. They're just a miner's helmet. Classic scene. When you really thought about it, in our world of holograms, the light of that light filling the streets clearly felt like discrimination against the blind. Yeah, I can't even argue with him on that. That's just straight up discrimination. But there was no use. I just had to accept the fact that walking around at night was difficult for someone like me. Even if I had a friend to spend time with, it wasn't like I could stay out late with them anyways. Yo, let's go, it's the buildings! All, like, $10 of this game's budget are coming in clutch right now. I felt like I should be heading back. For some reason, I was feeling pretty miserable. Yeah, because you're always being down in the dumps. You don't even wear your, like, sunglasses that are supposed to help. Like, it's no wonder you're miserable. As I headed home, a question suddenly popped into my mind. Yo, and that's the 3rd scene of the night. If I were to somehow run into that girl on this dark road, what would happen? You'd probably, like, kick her into the stratosphere since you can't see. Even without my sunglasses, would the streets shine as brightly as if they were noon? As I imagined that scene play out in front of my eyes, I felt my fingers twitching with the desire to paint, a feeling I hadn't felt in a long time. Yo, we got a new scene, actually though, the desktop. After arriving home, I took a shower and changed into something more comfortable. That's when the exhaustion hit me. Compared to most people these days, I slept quite early. Dr. Eugene had a habit of comparing me to a farmer falling asleep at sunset, cackling all the while. I could feel the urge to jump into bed creeping in, but I turned on my PC instead. And here we see the rare desktop computer in its unnatural habitat. See, he has just as much of a reaction to the desktop as I had. Because, like, I wasn't honestly expecting a fourth scene. I was just expecting more gray. Computers were practically antiques, only found at pawn shops and such. Computers with their monitors and physical input devices were only useful for their scrap metal these days. I had a feeling that most people wouldn't even be able to recognize and name the various components of this old beast. But since I couldn't use my sunglasses, this was the only saving grace for a handicapped person like me. The computer took its time booting up and then displayed the ancient operating system on the screen. Please tell me it's Windows 96. It's gotta be Windows 96. Or is it 76? I don't know. It was Windows, like, something. Or Windows Vista. Windows Vista could work. Most of my castmates would probably doze off in the time it took for this thing to boot up. Okay, like, when did he get this computer? Because, like, most computers launch pretty quickly these days. And, like, even if he managed to fall asleep in that short amount of time, I'd be impressed. Seriously, life was difficult for the blind. It took a while on this artifact of a computer to find information on the classical arts club that this girl had told me about. I'm surprised there's even information on the internet of this, seeing as they probably abandoned it for, like, whatever the hologram internet thing is. I imagine the interfacing would be hard on a computer, so I just wouldn't do it, but eh. I navigated to the school's homepage and found a poster that the girl had probably made herself and a small description of the club. The Classical Arts Club, an elective activity where we will create art with actual physical objects like our ancestors did in the time before AR. We hope you will attend. Way too formal. Everything about her summary was much too prim and proper. It definitely didn't feel like much of a promotion. At least the poster was pretty nice, mixing together some Van Gogh with other famous works. With a single member and such a lifeless description, what kind of nerd would enter that club? You, because you got told to, for medical reasons. Wait, was I going to be that nerd? Kill me. On top of that, I couldn't apply on the school's homepage. Not having an online application form made it feel like less like an invitation and more like a sign for people to stay away. I think you just suck at socializing with other people, bro. Seeing that great photo again. But she had looked so serious when she was recruiting out in front of that school. Right when she had laid eyes on me, she had asked if I was interested. If I went and asked her if I could join, I couldn't see her just rejecting me or anything. Maybe she wanted to do things in person. If she's actually interested in getting people to sign up, she'll be standing there tomorrow too, right? Finding someone as infamous as her wouldn't be that hard of a task. That's enough for today. My next appointment with Dr. Eugene was next week. I had 7 days to make contact with the girl. Yeah, 7 days or else you're gonna die, bro. I hate to say it.
Day 2. Right, yeah, that was only one day. That day took an hour and 40 minutes. I guess that's pretty fast compared to an actual day, but still. My hopes of seeing the girl in front of the school the next day were dashed on the rocks. My optimistic hopes turned out to be completely for nothing, as the entrance to school was as lifeless and dull as ever. There wasn't a trace of the girl I had seen yesterday. It seemed like she had no mind to recruit people in front of the school again that day. I couldn't figure out what part of that disappointed me the most. Sigh. The day flew by. Before I knew it, it was time for students to move to their after-school elective activities. My attempts throughout the day at asking around about the girl were all completely in vain. All of the hype about the girl had died out, and there wasn't a single rumor to be heard. The boy next to me seemed to have lost all interest in the girl and could only give me vague answers to my questions. Also, unlike yesterday, he seemed much more reluctant to strike up a conversation. Damn, we lost the front homie. In the end, I had no choice but to swallow my pride and go to the teacher's office to ask about the classical arts club. And all I got back was a smirk. The ridiculous thing was this poor excuse for a teacher didn't even know where the classical art club was meeting. Wow. He told me that the girl was so persistent in asking for a meeting place that her advisor just told her to find an empty classroom and use it. Then he changed his answer and told me that in fact they'd assigned her a room, but they kicked her out for trying to hammer boards into the wall of the classroom. The teachers were all shocked, unable to understand why she would do such a thing. It seemed like everyone was having a rough time just because of one oddball student. Love this scene. That does turn out to be most of the commentary of just, there is seen but again. I started seriously deliberating whether or not I should just give up this whole quest and head home, but I was afraid what would happen if I told Dr. Yu Jin that I wasn't able to find the girl. This game cost $10 to make. Coincidentally, it costed me $10 to buy. I am the only profit for this game. Nah, I think I actually got it on sale for only like $5, but like, I think the original price of this game is like $11.17 CAD. I don't know about US. This girl couldn't even hold on to a classroom for a club to meet in for a single day. She could be ousted from the school tomorrow for all I know. That was probably taking things a bit too far, but from the mood in the teacher's office, transferring a girl this eccentric to another school doesn't seem out of this question. If one of the teachers had filed a complaint with the local school board about what she had done, they'd probably have tried to charge her with vandalism or something. It'll probably pick up later. Maybe we'll even get like a 7th scene. Maybe even an 8th. In other words, her passion for art was painting her as a problem child in the eyes of the teachers and the staff. It wasn't like her status as a problem child was an issue for a loner like me, but it seemed like time was only going to make it harder to meet this girl. It was a sanctioned school club, though, so the classroom had to be somewhere in the school, right? And if it was in the school, it was nothing a quick search wouldn't turn up. With a conviction that I would find this mythical classical arts club, I set off. After an hour-long trudge around the whole school, I gave up trying to find the club. Where on earth is this stupid club? With a few words to nobody, I flopped down on a bench outside the school. After my own desperate search, I realized why none of the teachers had known where this classical arts club was located. Like a detective in an old movie, I had searched the school from top to bottom, but hadn't found a single clue about where her club was meeting. A loner like me, do you like how edgy I am yet, player? Just in case, I asked around the main art club, but I was only rewarded with a confirmation that the girl had belonged to the club before breaking off to form her own. Did she really not want anyone to join her club? As the question rolled around in my mind, I couldn't help but admire the brilliance of the girl for not having written the location of the club on the poster or club description. All of my hard work had done nothing but let me know that the Classical Arts Club was not meeting anywhere inside of the school. The doctor needs to be the main character. Honestly, I think I'd like a story about this doctor counseling all of the blind more than this so far. But I'm gonna give hope in the writers and say that it probably ramps up, maybe. Hopefully? Seriously, is it actually all just a lie? Maybe she had another reason for not handing out flyers this morning. But if she hadn't actually wanted new members in the first place, what had yesterday been about? If she wasn't really recruiting, there would be no way for me to get close to her. Like I was actually good at social interactions anyways. Hey, we talked to that one guy yesterday. Ugh. Time passed as I sat there, failing to come up with any kind of plan. And then a cat showed up. After a considerable time spent deliberating, I heard a cat's meow coming from somewhere. I looked down and saw a small drone with its camera focused on me. What the? Oh, okay, it was Common. Okay, I was worried we were about to get assaulted. That thing looks like it's about to, like, kill me or something, right? It was a Common... That's not a cat, brother. I think you're right. That is not a cat. Is it all just a lie? Is everything just pain? Will I suffer forever? Ugh. It was a Common mobile surveillance and cleaning drone that patrolled schools and other public institutions. Based on the sound it made, it must have been displaying a hologram of a cat. But why? Why was it doing that? Why? That's a giraffe. Something about that also seems a bit wrong. Based on that sound, it must have been displaying a hologram of a cat. But all I saw was an eerie-looking mechanical framework of the drone. The drone's main camera, its creepy-looking eyes, really glowed red. To deter criminals, these kinds of drones were a common sight in places like schools and parks. Yeah, that thing looks like it was used as a war weapon. Not surprised it deters people. I had no idea what kind of sensors the drones were equipped with, but they mostly patrolled places with a lot of foot traffic. No, I read a book about a zoo once, I know what I'm talking about. Well, I mean, if you've read a book, then you've got that out of me, so I have no reason to doubt you. I have actually never read a book in my life. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's small. He said he looked down at it. Yeah. I heard that their lifelike behavior was due to them being equipped with AI that enabled them to act completely autonomously. To me, their creepy looks reminded me of some mechanical nightmare from an old dystopian sci-fi movie. See, this guy agrees with me. He agrees that they look creepy and like they'd be used in a sci-fi movie to, like, eat someone alive. The robot let out a little purr and then scooted off somewhere. Why is the robot purring? Why is it programmed to do that? Or you know, it's just a spider. Ow. My neck. Ugh. My eyes followed its path as it disappeared into the wooded area behind the school. Why is this tiny little spider robot a plot point? That area was probably blocked off by a hologram of the wall. People would never think to go back there. Unlike humans, though, a drone wouldn't care about a hologram barrier. Most of the students who went here probably had no idea there were even trees back there. hologram wall doesn't sound like a very secure way to keep people out of somewhere. Students excluding the blind like me. When I thought about it, I probably had more in common with those drones than I had with any of my... God. He is so angsty. The amount of angst this man produces. It's undercover. Its hologram was a cat, but he's immune to their lies, so he sees it for what it is. He's not immune to the government birds. Glass half full much? Wait, that was strange. I heard that the drone's AI wasn't quite on par with humans, but it was definitely smarter than animals. So why is it going on patrol somewhere that isn't needed? Why does this music sound like it's from a horror film? Its whole purpose was to patrol the places where humans frequented. If there were no people there, there was no reason for a drone to patrol. This man can topple the deceivers. So why was there a drone going into a wooded area that was normally hidden behind a hologram? How does he even know that it was hidden behind a hologram? This could just be a regular pathway that people just don't go in because it's weird. If it had gone anywhere else, I could say that it might be part of its patrol route, but what the drone had just done doesn't make any sense. If there was a hologram of a wall there, it was practically a physical barrier to normal people. No. Pay no attention to the drone behind the hologram. A surveillance drone with its excellent disguise and artificial intelligence needed to patrol over there? I couldn't call that a coincidence. Instead, it seemed more like the drone detected signs that someone was loitering back there. And if there was a person back there, it probably wasn't a particularly normal person. Considering the biggest problem on the school's plate right now, that was likely to be the exact person I was looking for. No way, though. No way it's her. There was no way for a person without the blindness to even know that there were trees back there. A normal person would never know that place existed, let alone go back there. But just maybe, if someone else knew that place existed, if someone really was back there, just maybe, what if they were blind too? It was just a thought, but it was a thought that suddenly flooded me with curiosity. I was already late and returning home anyway. But it was a few more hours. And just like a few hours, you know, coming home at like 5, coming home at like 12 o'clock. If Dr. Yujin were here, she would probably be egging me on, saying something like, "You've got nothing better to do." Apparently holograms can be physical things if you believe it's real. It's magic. Through the power of imagination, I too can punch an imaginary brick wall. As if drawn in by some magical force, I followed the drone into the trees. Most places concealed by holograms like this were overgrown with vegetation. Our school was actually situated in front of a large sloping hill that we called a mountain. What do you mean? What do you mean that we called a mountain? What does that mean? What do you mean? Huh? Called a mountain? Call... That just makes it a mountain, right? We called the mountains back in my day. Wah. 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 On the opposite slope, there was a path up to the summit that was quite popular with casual climbers. I had been going to this school for over a year, yet I hadn't figured out that those two paths probably connected. Honestly, it was more like I had never really cared to think about it. I couldn't figure out why they left these green areas in cities anyways. Plants make oxygen. Humans need oxygen to breathe. Do you see picture? Instead of planting trees on the sidewalks and creating parks here and there like before, all of the air filtration was done by artificial air Damn, alright. Fine, guess I was wrong. They got me. But why? Isn't it more cost effective to just use plants? This seems like a much easier solution than artificial air purifiers. Dude, quit being a sad boy and go bring down the simulation, buddy. He isn't a Chad. He doesn't have the ability to bring down the simulation. He's just being here angsty. All they had to do was disguise one with a hologram of a tree, and it would be practically the same thing with a lot less maintenance. Now, I'm pretty sure artificial air purifiers need maintenance too. Like, what do trees need? Some water? Doesn't sound too hard to supply. Like, just don't burn them down. For the people who are worried about the environment, are fearful of excessive electronic proliferation, all I needed to do was add a little negative ion emitter to a branch. Yet still some of these places were intentionally let be, standing as green areas within the city limits. Why are you complaining? Like, you're always complaining about color. Go see the plants. Simple solution. I like the concept of the story. This guy is just so angsty that it makes me cringe. Like, I get it. He's a high schooler. He's angsty. But come on. Come on. Come on. If there was an area they didn't want to maintain, why leave it to nature? Nature. Good for human. Good for human. Provide air. Provide the serotonin. Provide. It was clear they didn't bother with this area due to some of the weeds reaching almost to my knees. That was just like the modern age, to throw out drones everywhere for the safety of children, and then not maintain an area behind a school, settling for just blocking it off with a hologram instead. As I pushed my way through some of the weeds, grumbling to no one in particular, the grass opened up into a little dirt path. How long had it been since I stepped on actual earth? The entire time. You're in a forest. There is earth. Come on, bruv. Football's coming to Rome. Be happy. What's this? I could barely make the outline of a shoe print on the path. This place wasn't exactly a high-traffic area. It wasn't much of a reach to say that this was made recently. Or was made, like, a long, long time ago. And in fact, I feel like that's the more likely conclusion to reach. If there's not many people showing up, the footprint is probably from a while ago. But, alright, go off. Nah, he was in the simulation, not real Earth. I see. That would explain it. It was looking more and more certain that someone had been through here recently. With the shoe prints as my guide, I made my way out of the grass and up the path. And I continued that way for about 10 minutes. Suddenly the path opened up into a little area devoid of trees and bushes, as if someone had cleared out the area. At the end of what looked like a decently trimmed yard, straight out of a fairy tale, there was a small wooden shack. Let's go! Wooden shack! We've got our 8th scene. It's painted red. I rubbed my eyes and looked again. Yep, it was a shack, alright. Who built houses out of wood these days? I could barely look at the atrocious sight, and there it was in front of me. For someone who keeps complaining about how bland everything looks, the second he sees something different, all he does is complain. What does this man want? The answer is probably the ability to see the holograms, but like, come on. This is the best you've got. Don't complain about that, too. I had called it a shack in my head, but it was more like a bunch of boards that had been woven together into something resembling a shack. Does that make a shack? If it looks like a shack, it's made like a shack. It's made out of wood. It sounds like it's a wooden shack. The dismal thing looked as if it would fall over every second, and it gave off a serious haunted vibe. Sometimes that's just how shacks be. We were over halfway through the 21st century. Alright, so this takes place 30 years from now. Okay. Well, more than 30 years from now. Taking the time to build a haunted house straight out of a horror movie. Has this kid seen a horror movie? Like, it looks like it's out of a horror movie. I'm just skeptical as to whether this kid has actually seen a horror movie, because it seems like he hasn't done anything for his entire life but be angsty. I felt like it was about to start raining, so that I would have to take refuge inside. It felt like a group of travelers was going to appear, stay the night there, then start dying off one by one. Okay, so this kid's a horror geek. I get you. God. This man is so painfully aware of horror tropes, but he's not aware of the tropes that he is committing himself. If you walked into a corny holographic ghost house at an amusement park tomorrow, you'd probably see most people laughing then screaming in fear, but this place was different. Yeah, in this place a board falls off of the roof and kills you instantly. Since it was in the middle of this vacant lot and not in the middle of the forest, the sun was shining down on the little cabin. Ironically, though, that made it much more spooky. Crows. What sound was that drone making just then? A crow's call? Why not mimic a cute little sparrow or something? Why would you make it sound like a crow? What makes you think it's not just a crow? Seriously? A crow? Just had to make me more nervous. Come on, dude. Gets whacked by Hillbilly Jim in his shack. I thought about heading back. I turned to head down the path I had just come up. Which one was it? Oh no. This man, he's fallen right into the horror movie trap. Oh no. Oh, this poor man. This poor... He's gone. He's dead. There's nothing I can do for him there. He's dead. Well, so much for that plan. Maybe there was something inside the spooky old place. No, this... Say your prayers for this boy. He is about to die in a horror movie. I couldn't imagine that ghosts could exist in an age like this, if they ever had in the first place. The hologram age sounds like the perfect age for ghosts to exist. Didn't they make like a whole movie about some like weird holographic assassin or something? I'm pretty sure there was also a shitpost about Hatsune Miku doing it too. I took a deep breath and pushed the door the rest of the way open. Once inside, the corpse of a girl was hanging at the end of a rope, dangling by the... Yeah, I don't know, I'm so terrified. Ah, you got me. Ah. Ah. Perhaps in response to my scream, the body fell to the floor, letting out a scream of its own. Wait, why was the corpse screaming? Grabbing the wall next to me, I was barely able to catch myself before I fell over. Whoa, it wasn't a corpse! Who could have seen this coming? As I did, the corpse girl in the center of the room slowly righted herself. Stop calling her a corpse! Huh? It was the black-haired girl from before, dressed in her black cardigan and checkered skirt. You literally came here expecting to find her here. You sound so shocked when you find her here. Huh? It was none other than the president of the Classical Arts Club, the girl I had met the previous morning. What are you doing bursting in and screaming like that? Fuck. Maybe it was just me, but she looked to be on the verge of tears. I'm sorry, I thought you were a ghost or something. A ghost? Why would you think something stupid like that? Loser. No way this is inside the Actually, yeah, wait, what's up? Those are like proper windows. What? Huh? Continuity. The girl stood up and dusted herself off. As I saw her clothes ripple with each pat of her hand, I was sure that what I was seeing was no illusion. He finally realizes that it's not an illusion. That was pretty obvious in like the first 10 seconds. Forget all that. Yeah, I'd be pretty confused if someone just walked into this room and said, forget all that. You just, like, broke into her house or something. I don't know, man. So, how did you find this place? Trade secret. My turn. What are you doing here? What does it look like I'm doing? I'm setting up my club's meeting space. This is where your club meets? As I entered the sorry excuse for a cabin, I had a look around. Sorry excuse on the outside? What's with, like, this furnished one-bedroom apartment? He saw the real thing for a second, but they reeled him back in. Despite the shabby exterior, the interior had a very cozy feel to it. Yeah, the interior of an entirely different building. The room had been decorated with antique wooden furniture and framed work of art had been hung on the walls. I couldn't tell you the names of all the artists, but since I had definitely seen most of them before, I could only assume they were famous works of art. From the stepladder and the nail in the wall, it looked as if the girl had been about to hang up another painting. I guess that my vision of a corpse hanging from a rope was just my mind playing tricks on me. Oh, wait, you only just realized that was your... I feel like... Obviously it wasn't a girl... Obviously it wasn't a girl's corpse. Obviously you just missaw. Like, how did it take you that long to realize? Yeah, like... Why did it suddenly become so much more glowed up? From the outside it had, like, nothing. In fact, let me display how nothing it had. Can I go into the art? Extra content. Past scenes. Selected event. Let me just, how do I quickly skip through all of this? I don't know how to skip through all of this to the one scene I'm looking for, so... that sucks. Extras. Most clear at... Alright, looks like we aren't getting that. Anyways, it looks like there are at least, 15 more days
But anyways, that cabin was way too run down for the inside. Also, load. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. This is a problem. Dive into the world. It'll take me back to where I was, right? Hoping? Fine. I never saved the game. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, no. Alright, I have made mistakes. I've made severe mistakes. Severe mistakes indeed. Fuck. Oh no. No. Alright, anyways. The time slot's coming near to an end. So, before my next stream of this game, I am going to get back to where I was and create a save point. We'll start from there next time. But for today, I think that's gonna be the end of the stream. I really just did that, huh? Huh. Well, see ya later. I'm going to end the stream. Probably cry for a little bit. This has been The Blind of a New World. I have been Diastrophic. You have been you. And the things you have to experience to be a true gamer/streamer. The work that I have to put up with. Because of my own stupidity. You have a good night too. I'm gonna go. Goodbye.